Ever wondered how much power our emotions hold over us? It's a question that piques our curiosity, isn't it? More often than not, we find ourselves at the mercy of our emotions, letting them dictate our actions, decisions, and overall outlook on life. Emotions, in all their complexity, color our world, shaping our experiences from the most mundane to the most profound. But what if we could harness this power? What if we could learn to manage our emotions, to use them as tools rather than being used by them? The importance of emotional management cannot be overstated. It can drastically improve our personal lives, enhancing our relationships and our self-understanding. In our professional lives, it can lead to better decision-making, improved leadership, and increased productivity. So, how exactly do we manage these complex emotions? Let's dive deep into it. The first step towards managing emotions is understanding them. Let's take a moment to delve into the human emotional spectrum. There are a multitude of emotions we experience, but let's focus on the basic ones: happiness, sadness, anger, fear, surprise, and disgust. These are the primary colors of our emotional palette, and they blend together to create a full spectrum of human feeling. Happiness, it's that warm, light feeling we get when things are going right. It's laughter, contentment, and a sense of fulfillment. Sadness, on the other hand, is that heavy gray feeling that descends when things are not as they should be. It's tears, a heavy heart, and a sense of emptiness. Then there's anger, a hot, fiery emotion that flares up when we feel wronged or frustrated. It's a clenched fist, a furrowed brow, and a racing heart. Fear is its cold, shivery cousin that rises in the face of danger or uncertainty. It's a quickened pulse, a knot in the stomach, and a sense of impending doom. Surprise is that sudden, jolting emotion that pops up when something unexpected happens. It's a gasp, wide eyes, and a rush of adrenaline. And finally, disgust, that sour, repulsive feeling that arises in response to something unpleasant. It's a wrinkled nose, a turned stomach, and a desire to withdraw. Each of these emotions plays a role in our lives and has a purpose. Happiness encourages us to seek and repeat behaviors that benefit us. Sadness prompts us to change situations that are not working in our favor. Anger motivates us to stand up for ourselves, while fear protects us from harm. Surprise keeps us on our toes, and disgust helps us avoid things that could harm us. Recognizing and acknowledging these emotions is the first step towards managing them. It's about giving yourself permission to feel, without judgment or resistance. It's about understanding that emotions are not good or bad, they simply are. Understanding our emotions is the first step, but how do we control them when they seem to be taking over? Controlling emotions begins with self-awareness. It's like trying to navigate through a thick forest in the middle of the night without a flashlight. Without self-awareness, we stumble through our emotional landscape, often tripping over unexpected reactions, and finding ourselves lost in the dense undergrowth of feelings we don't fully understand. So what does it mean to be self-aware? It means recognizing your emotions as they come up, understanding why they are happening, and realizing how they affect your thoughts and actions. It's about being in tune with your feelings, not just on the surface, but digging deep into what triggers them and why. Think of it like tuning into your favorite radio station. If you're not correctly dialed in, the music is just noise, and you might miss your favorite song. But when you're in tune, everything becomes clear, and you can enjoy the melody. Similarly, being in tune with your emotions means you can recognize them for what they are, and respond appropriately, instead of being controlled by them. Now this might sound overwhelming, especially if you're not used to paying close attention to your feelings. But remember, self-awareness is not something that happens overnight. It's a journey, a process of exploration and discovery. It's like peeling back the layers of an onion one by one to reveal what's at the core. Why is this important? Because emotions are powerful. They can drive us to achieve great things, but they can also lead us astray. They can inspire us, but they can also bring us down. By being aware of our emotions, we can ensure they serve us rather than control us. And the good news is, anyone can develop emotional self-awareness. It's not a trait that some people are born with and others aren't. It's a skill, like learning to play a musical instrument or speak a foreign language. And like any skill, it can be developed with practice and patience. Once we are aware of our emotions, the next step is to learn how to regulate them. But that's a topic for another scene. For now, let's take a moment to appreciate the power of self-awareness in our journey towards emotional mastery. Regulating our emotions is not about suppressing them, but about expressing them in a healthy way. You see, our emotions are like a river, constantly flowing, ever-changing, and sometimes they can become turbulent. The key to navigating this river is not to dam it up but to learn how to steer our emotional vessels skillfully. One of the most effective techniques for emotional regulation is deep breathing. It's as simple as it sounds, yet the impact is profound. When we breathe deeply, we send a message to our brain to calm down and relax. This, in turn, slows our heart rate, reduces our stress level, and helps us to regain control over our emotions. But how about when the river of emotions becomes a raging torrent? This is where mindfulness comes in. Mindfulness is the practice of being fully present in the moment, aware of our thoughts, feelings, and sensations without judgment. It's like stepping back and observing the river from the bank, watching the currents of emotion without getting swept away. Now imagine if we could not only observe that river, but also change its course. This is the power of cognitive restructuring, a technique that involves identifying and challenging our negative thought patterns. By questioning our automatic assumptions and beliefs, we can alter our emotional reactions and generate more positive outcomes. Yet, mastering these techniques is not a task accomplished overnight. It requires consistent practice and patience. It's like learning to play a musical instrument or mastering a new language. But the beauty of it is that with each practice we get better, we grow stronger, and we become more adept at navigating our emotional landscape. So remember, the goal is not to suppress or ignore our emotions, but to understand them, to express them healthily, and to harness their power constructively. With practice we can learn to regulate our emotions, but what happens when we are overwhelmed by intense emotions? Well, that's a topic for our next scene. Stay tuned. Intense emotions can be overwhelming, but there are strategies to help us cope. Let's delve into these strategies and see how they can be applied in times of emotional turmoil. Firstly, taking a time out can be incredibly effective. This doesn't mean you're running away from your feelings, rather, you're giving yourself permission to step back and breathe. It's about creating a pause, a moment of respite. You could simply sit in silence, take a walk, or even engage in a hobby that brings you joy. The goal is to break the cycle of escalating emotions and give yourself the space to process and reflect. Another useful strategy is seeking support. This can come in various forms. It could be a trusted friend or family member who lends an empathetic ear, or perhaps a support group where you can share experiences with others who understand what you're going through. Remember, it's okay to ask for help. You're not alone in your struggles, and opening up to others can often provide fresh perspectives and practical advice. Next up, we have self-care activities. These are essential not only for dealing with intense emotions but for overall mental well-being. Self-care could mean ensuring you get enough sleep, eating a balanced diet, or exercising regularly. It could also involve activities that nourish your soul, like reading a good book, listening to your favorite music, or spending time in nature. When you take care of your physical health, your emotional health often follows suit. Lastly, and perhaps most importantly, don't hesitate to seek professional help when needed. Therapists, counselors, and psychologists are trained to help you navigate complex emotions. They can provide tools and techniques to manage your emotions more effectively and support you on your journey towards emotional well-being. Managing our emotions is a lifelong journey, but the rewards are well worth it. So don't be too hard on yourself. It's okay to have intense emotions. What matters is how we cope with them, how we learn from them, and how we grow stronger by dealing with them. Managing our emotions effectively can have a profound impact on our lives. It's like being the conductor of an orchestra, where every instrument signifies a different emotion. When we're able to harmonize these emotions, we can create a symphony of well-being. Let's recap what we've learned so far. Recognizing our emotions, becoming aware of their influence, and regulating them are all vital steps in the process of emotional management. This isn't about suppressing feelings, but rather understanding them and channeling them in a healthy way. The benefits of this are immense. It can improve our relationships as we become more empathetic and understanding. It can lead to better decision-making as we're less likely to be swayed by temporary emotional states. And most importantly, it can enhance our overall emotional well-being, making us more resilient and content. Remember, emotions are not our enemy. They are a part of us, and learning to manage them is one of the most important skills we can develop.
Do